Hey guys, welcome back to the Soul Line Self Care Podcast. Happy New Year if you guys haven't listened since the new year. And this week we're talking about using failure as feedback instead of thinking of it negatively, and how it's such an important part of the process when you're working your way towards like a dream or a goal or some kind of success, right? So a lot of us hear the word failure and we automatically get like that negative feeling in our body, maybe even a bad taste in your mouth, and you want to avoid it completely because you think it might make you look bad, or maybe you'll be embarrassed, or people might think have a certain opinion of you. But what we don't realize is that everybody fails, and in order to reach any of your goals or your dreams and have success in life, you do have to fail. That's just a part of the process. And the more that we could start to shift our mindset towards this, the quicker you can reach success, and the better you could really feel along the way, not beating yourself up and just realizing that failure is just a way where you get feedback on the actions that you're doing, right? And so the way I think of it is you set a goal or you have a dream or something, right? And you have your starting point, and then you know where you want to go. You know exactly what you want to achieve, and it might be this huge goal, it could just be a small goal, but you have a goal that you want to achieve. And then so you decide, well, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my first step, right? And you take that first step, and then you're going to ask yourself, the next thing that happens after this is like one of the most important things, because you could look at it and be like, wow, okay, that was a total failure. That didn't go right. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go back in my corner and do what I was doing before. Or you could say, okay, that didn't work out very well. What did I do wrong? How can I do it better? What do I need to shift? What do I need to do differently? Do I need to go in a different direction? You could take that failure as feedback and look at it and learn from it, and then take the next step forward. And that's really, truthfully, how you reach your goals and how you achieve success. It's really a mindset of how you're going to look at that failure. And I think just the definition that most of us have of failure in our minds is just wrong. We think of it as a bad thing, and it's just not. And I would love to help you redefine that and reset your mindset on how you feel about failure and look at it as a positive thing. As a matter of fact, the more you're failing at something, the more you're taking action to move towards your goal to get what you want, right? Because if you have this one failure and it knocks you down and it takes you a while to get up again, or you're frozen, because you don't know what to do, then you're not going to move forward very fast. But if you're the type of person that's like, okay, that didn't work out, what can I do differently? What can I try next? How can I do this, right? And if you're doing that continuously without stopping and without beating yourself up, then you're going to reach your goal sooner. You're going to get there quicker, and you're going to learn so much in the process. So failure is not a bad thing. Failure is just feedback on your actions, right? And so another thing that I want to point out is I just said a few minutes ago, how sometimes, we take a step towards our goal, we get the feedback, but we don't know what to do with it, right? We're like, okay, so that didn't work, but now I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move forward. I don't know what I'm doing. And you could just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, or you could find someone who's done what you want to do before and see what they did. So this is why we read books. This is why we take classes. This is why we hire a coach. This is why we do all these things. And what I think a lot of successful people know is that when they do these things while they're working their way towards their goal, or before they hit the failures, they automatically kind of move towards the goal with warp speed because they're already prepared to not knowing exactly how to respond and react to the feedback they're getting. So they're kind of already prepared to have someone help them through the feedback, so to speak. And I think a lot of people do this. I know when I'm stepping into something new, I will buy every book I can find on the subject and read books because I love reading books. And so when I'm really interested about a subject, I will like almost obsessively read about it and learn as much as I can, and then I'll move forward. So like, for example, when I started the podcast and I wanted to start having guests on, I took a class. I was so nervous about having a guest on and doing it wrong, and then kind of, like I said earlier, embarrassing myself or not having people want to be on my podcast because I didn't do a good job with my guests. So I wanted to make the process as smooth as possible, easy for the person that was going to be the guest, and I wanted it to sound good. So what did I do? I educated myself. I did do a class. So I actually hired a coach, so to speak, because I took a class. And so I did all those things that I'm talking about because instead of just trying all these little things and seeing if it worked out, I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to go a lot smoother for the other person that was involved in this pursuit of mine. Right. So I made sure that I had a little knowledge under my belt so that I could handle any type of failure that could have popped up, right? And so I prepared, so there's different ways that you could look at this, but no matter how much you prepare for something and no matter how many people you have in your corner helping you, there's always going to be failures. There's always going to be that moment where you have to look at the way you approach something and take the feedback from it because it didn't work out, and really try to decide what that feedback means and take the time to do that before you move forward and try something new, right? And so um, when I said after you try that one first step and then you see what happens after that, and maybe you have a failure, the next step is the most important step. Well, what I meant by that was you're either going to freeze and stop, or you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to look at that failure as a feedback and you're going to keep moving forward. So I hope that this can encourage you to embrace failure in a new way as we go into this new year. A lot of us are setting goals. Some people have New Year's resolutions. Some people have these big dreams that they're working towards. As you're moving into any of those things, I want you to look at any failures that you have as just feedback to help you get to your goal faster, and be able to know that you could look at that feedback and learn so much from it instead of being afraid of it, instead of being embarrassed or insecure about any type of failure, that you should really embrace it as knowledge that you're going to learn um, more and more each time. The more failures you have, the more you're going to learn. So asking for help is, as I said, very important because that could kind of, you can kind of get stuck with that also, so one thing that can make you get stuck is just the failure itself, and then the other thing that could make you get stuck is not knowing how to handle the feedback, not knowing where to put it, not knowing what to do with it, not knowing how to use it, right? So and as I said, some of the most successful people don't wait until they need help. They have help there, just moving forward, right? And so I think I think overall, what I really want to share with you guys today is to be really, really open to failure and just redefine, shift your mindset on what that means to you in the future as you move forward, as you're moving into this new year, and embrace those failures. And I would even keep track of them. And I don't remember where I saw this or read this, because it was such a long time ago. It just popped into my head. But there was, I don't know if it was a coach or somebody or a well-known person that said this, but they said, I'm committing to having 100 failures every month. And I thought that was really interesting because what that will do for you is if you commit to having a certain number of failures each month, then you know that you're going to be working towards your goals and your success or your dreams or whatever it is you're looking to achieve in your life and bring into your life a lot quicker, right? So I think that's a really interesting way to look at it, a really cool perspective. And maybe what you should do instead of like uber focusing on the goals is focusing on how many times you can fail on your way to that goal. And so I hope that this was really helpful to you as you're moving into any of those New Year's resolutions. And if you haven't listened to the last podcast, I talked about New Year's resolutions. I don't really like resolutions. I used to do that all the time, but I just don't like the way it sounds. It's almost like you're trying to resolve something, like as if there was something wrong with you. And I don't believe there's anything wrong with any of us. I really do believe that we're in the position that we need to be at that time in our life to be able to expand. And just looking at the position you're in and being happy where you're at and where you've worked your way towards, and then taking that and at the same time as accepting it, um, wanting to do better and achieve more and move forward. So, uh, if you want to learn more about any of the topics that I talk about on the podcast, you could definitely subscribe and leave a rating. If you're on Apple, you can leave a rating on Apple. I think you can leave a rating on Spotify. It helps the podcast get in front of more people. Also, you could sign up for my newsletter, and the link for that will be right in the show notes. So until next week, I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.